Just to ground you in the story, guys, Jean Grey is teenage Jean Grey. So this is prior to the events of Dark Phoenix Saga, of like all of the iterations of Jean in the future, all the stuff in the Battle of the Atom, all of that kind of stuff. We have a bunch of orcs here talking about how they want to come after Thor. They want Thor's head for whatever reason, one thing or another. But Jean Grey stumbles upon this as she's trying to find Thor herself, because she wants to learn how to become a warrior so she can slay the Phoenix when the Phoenix comes for her. She got that idea from Namor, who said that, like, you know, maybe the one thing you can do is try to at least fight it, right? So we'll see how that turns out very soon. So these guys are yelling out, today we take Thor's head. Oh, Jeff, and thank you for all of those roses, Jeff. That was like legit amazing. I was like, I felt that on like an etheric level, I feel like. All right, so today we take Thor's head. Thor's head. Thor's head. Thor's head. Not good, not good, not good. So she's running away. And then the Avengers. Oh, yeah. So it cuts now to. So now we cut to Thor is telling a story. So he's talking about like the heyday with the Avengers. You can see here, you know, like old war stories. He's like, back in my day was the Avengers. So here, I'm gonna try to do my Thor voice. The Avengers were mighty, yes, but also green. Green as the flesh of the cursed toads that plagued us that day. Loki had us all but beaten. Every advantage clutched at his trickster fist, and he plainly knew it. Loki! But I know as my brother as I know my own self. I can smell it when his confidence curdles to arrogance. Holy God, thank crap you're here. His defenses drop, his blind spots hidden, and in that moment, so you can see, like, I love this kind of panel here. You've got, like, old Thor in his, like, heyday with the Avengers, right, which we all know about, right? Avengers Assemble. But we have Thor here, and he's basically recounting this, like, tale, and we flash now back to him in, like, present day, and of course, like, Jean Grey, teenage Jean Grey, is seeking out Thor, because she wants to be a warrior, right? Got to do training. You guys have like that training montage. I feel like that's what's missing from movies these days. You know, you need to have a good training montage. Even Flashdance had a training montage where they were at like the gym working out and stuff. You know, Rocky and running up the stairs, push-ups, all this stuff. You need to like the prep work. It can be to music, that kind of stuff. All right, so she comes through the doors, like opens through the doors, like very through the snow. I can just imagine what kind of place this is. And like, I mean, I was told you were here. I totally came here to see you, but it occurred to me on my way up that like maybe you'd be out for lunch or something, which would have been annoying under any circumstances, since my eyeballs totally froze climbing up here to see you. But considering what I just saw, it would have meant me fighting an army of the Lord of the Rings extras by myself for no good reason. Sorry, I'm a little amped. It's possible I over-caffeinated this morning. I'm Jean Grey. You're Thor. And I'm pretty sure there's a bunch of what I'm gonna call orcs on their way up to murder you. And then in response, Thor just belches. He just gives a big burp because he's been drinking lots of ale, you know, I guess in his retirement of no longer being an Avenger. Thank you, Hunter. Appreciate that. Then we've got, ew. Ha, 1,000 pardons, little mutant. Oh my gosh, you're drunk. Oh my, yes. Well, snap the hell out of it. Didn't you hear what I just said? Gimme that. Hey now. Okay, coffee, please, coffee. Where do you keep the coffee? Right here, love. Good deal. Keep it coming, please. So this Jean Grey loves coffee a lot, I guess because you're underage and you don't drink. I don't know if adult Jean drinks either, though. I watched a movie once. What was it? It had Bradley Cooper in it, and it had to do with mentalism and magicians. But in it, he had to like stay away from alcohol because I think like the alcohol like numbed the connection that he had to like any of like psychic or magic abilities he had. So I think there's something there with like alcohol, because alcohol is a depressant, right? So maybe there's something there. I'm not quite sure, because I do think it is an important one to get out there. And I don't think a lot of people know this story about Jean Grey, where her teenage self essentially tries to like not like, you know, like you refuse a destiny, right? Where it's like, I don't want to be that Jean Grey who becomes the Phoenix and like destroys a world. I don't want that. I don't want to be that, right? So it's kind of like an understanding of when you like learn to accept your own shadow self and like parts of yourself. Like I think that's why sometimes we like villains, because we can kind of see where they're coming from when it comes to things, right? Because yeah, I am a couple hours late. Totally. Okay, let's keep going, guys. So she found better late than never. Okay, okay. Making sure that I didn't skip a page, just because sometimes with these gloves I can and I don't want to. No, I didn't. So she got the coffee. And then now she's realizing Thor is drunk, but I don't think that makes him any less effective as a fighter. But here we go. All right, sober up the best you can, I guess. I have to assume drunk Thor is way better than no Thor. But I also don't see your hammer anywhere, so if you like left it by the toilet or whatever, now would be a good time to run and fetch that. Sore subject. Oh, yes. And then Thor says, Oh, right. You're Odinson now, right? Thor's a lady. I am more than well enough armed. Thank you very much. Well, okay. You say you've journeyed here to speak with me, Jean Grey. Yeah, I seem to have really bad luck with that. Might as well tattoo cruising for a bruising across my throat. What is that you seek? Long story short, I have this big, crazy battle coming. Not just the orcs, something worse. Anyway, it seems like the only way I stand a chance of surviving it is if I level the way hell up. So she's trying to level up her warrior skills in order to deal with something even more than the orcs. Of course, she's talking about the Phoenix, which is a cosmic sentient god of fire, right? Which merges with Jean Grey, but we'll see that the Phoenix and Jean Grey are intrinsically linked. This might sound dumb, but I thought maybe you could teach me how to be a warrior. Well, good luck to you. Travel safe, Lana. That cold wind chops like an axe. I don't know. Whatever. Doesn't matter. I'm probably screwed. No, you're not, Jean Grey. You're an Omega level mutant. You can handle more than what you think. And that's assuming we even survive the next 10 minutes. Your dilemma reminds me of a tale from my own misspent youth. I was still a boy then, just past my 15th name day. So this is Thor going off on another story because he's trying to relate to Miss Jean, asking about being a warrior and dealing with a challenge, right? My brother and I wanted so desperately to prove ourselves in battle, and yet no one would allow it. Were we not sons of Odin? Had we not been born and bred for the battlefields? It felt as though we would never be old enough. never be taken seriously. Oh, thanks for the tiny. Aw, David, appreciate that. Yay. So just to recap, if you just dropped into the live, I'm Jean Grey. I'm reading Jean Grey, and we are at the point in time where Jean is dealing with, she's kind of like trying to avoid her destiny here, teenage Jean Grey, right? So she is asking Thor about how to be a warrior, and Thor is telling a story about his youth when he was about 15 and Loki. So, were we not sons of Odin, had we not been born and bred for the battlefield? It felt as though we would never be old enough, never be taken seriously. So we set out on our own, set out to prove ourselves, armed with smug grins and borrowed weapons from Father's armory. No offense, but is there any way that we can do this story time a little bit later? We're about to kind of bury here, or we're about to be kind of busy here, because remember those orcs that Jean Grey was talking about on the way? Let's see here. We're about to be kind of busy here, and then oh my gosh, I have this little crease over here. Let me go over on this side if I can and still read it. We had it in our fool heads that together we could tame the fabled Lavadon? What's a Lavadon? Well, you can kind of see it here. It's like this fire monster. Because I do think we had in our fool heads that together we could tame the fabled Lavadon, squelch its fire by sheer force of will. Well, will is very powerful. And ride the proud beast back to Father. As irrefutable proof, we were ready to join him in battle. As irrefutable proof, we were ready to join him in battle. So, it's like one of those things, like when you're like a kid and you're younger and you're like trying to prove yourself. And it's so funny, like when you get older, you're like, I miss those carefree days when I was 15. But like when you're 15, you're just like, I just want to grow up, right? So let's keep going here.